Okay. Hey, so we are live, and I'm just going to move that. We're live for the last time.
Oh. You know what? It feels really special and really exciting, and I'm I feel really privileged to be here in your last live on your group, Trina. So it's amazing.
Oh, thank you. I've got to say, because obviously just before we came on here, Isabella's just put on some beautiful colours, and I've got to say that you look absolutely fantastic. That colour really shows you off. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Well, thank you, because I was just telling you that I always dress in black or beige or you know, colors that are very calm and neutral. And I was talking to a lady who is a personal stylist this week, and she said, you know, just pop a bit of color and then you look really good on screen. And she did that. And next to her, I just looked really pale. So I thought, yes, I'll take that advice.
But you look absolutely fantastic, and I love that colour. It's a really nice colour. What colour is it? Because it's like a pink, isn't it?
I think it's like pink, dark pink.
Love it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I'm so happy that you're here today. And you know what? It's been an absolute privilege doing these interviews. And to have you as my last interviewee is even more of a privilege. So, you know, we're going to talk today about business and personal growth. And Izabela is one of our collective members. What I do is anyone who's in the collective, it's, you know, all about shouting out about their businesses because they're experts in their own right. And, you know, why not? Why not shout about people who are, you know, who are working with us, you know, and because it's just such a close-knit, beautiful community as well. And it's so beautiful, you know, everyone's like their own individual person, individual bit of amazingness. And Izabela is just amazing at books and turning us from, you know, reluctant readers into bookworms. And I think that is so beautiful because, you know, sometimes we do need to sit down with a book. It is great for our business and personal growth. Hello, Deborah, because I know Deborah's watching this morning. And Deborah's also a collective member as well. So hopefully we're going to get to, you know, share some of your stuff soon as well. But tell us how you got into
to say that your community is amazing, Trina, and you know it's so full of support, and we have so many wonderful women in the collective. I always like to come to the chat we have on a Tuesday afternoon, just with a cup of tea or coffee, and it's just an amazing opportunity to meet other people and to get inspired by what other people are doing. So. Yes, thank you for creating such an amazing place because it is really special.
Oh, thank you so much. I wasn't even expecting that, but that's really lovely. But tell us about, because obviously you've been posting in the group and you told us how, you know, how you got into reading and your kids and everything. But tell us a little bit more about, you know, how you got into, you know, books in particular, especially in terms of, you know, your own personal development and your own business growth.
Yeah, so I'm an Osborne organizer. My business is Izabela's Inspirations, and I love sharing those wonderful books for children mainly, but we have books for young adults as well. And I always like to think about myself as a young adult. So, you know, no age limits. But I got into Osborne 3 years ago. And I always loved books. So when I found out that I can actually build my own business by sharing books with other parents, with other children, I just said yes straight away. And since then, I have been sharing those wonderful books with other children, with other parents, and with schools as well. And that's a part of my business that's really growing now. So I'm really grateful for that. But I just think books make such an amazing difference in our children's mental health.
Yeah.
You know, we had a conversation this week about tablets and how much time our kids spend on tablets, and I can really see a change in my kids' behavior when they spend too much time on their tablets. So I have 2 boys, 12 and 6, and they have tablets. The older one, Adam, has his own phone as well. And when they are on screen, after, what happens is they fight, they are bored, they don't know what to do with themselves, or they are just, not very pleasant to be around.
That's so true.
And so raising or finding that love of reading is not an easy thing for my boys, and boys especially, but it's not a gender thing. I think anyone can be a reluctant reader, and I see that a lot. So I was sharing a few tips in the group on how to turn reluctant readers into bookworms, how to find that love of reading, because I know that as a parent, we have a lot of power, actually. We have a lot of responsibility, and we can actually say, let's spend some time with a book every day, even if it's for 20 minutes. 20 minutes, it's not such a long period of time. And I'm sure in our busy lives, we can find 20 minutes a day, every day, to read together. And I think that's so beneficial for the parent and for the child. It will help them at school. It will help them in the future. It will help them to learn to read in the future, but it will also help them to think independently and relax with a book. I think that's so important. We are all so busy. We're chasing and running around like crazy sometimes, but actually to sit down with a book and just relax by reading, I think that's something that's really it's really important for so many people. But nowadays, when we have tablets and phones and everything, we don't really do that naturally. So I think it's important to remind ourselves, you need some rest, you need to relax, you need to take some time out, because as busy businesswomen, it's not in our nature to do that. It's not something that we just do. We just run around until we break down.
Oh yeah, I'm totally with you on that as well. And and you hit the nail on the head there, about that rest and relaxation, and what you're effectively doing is that, as yourself, for your own personal growth, you're giving yourself that rest, but then you are sharing that not only just with yourself, you're actually passing that on to your children. So then your children know. And it's great to have Deborah here as well, because Deborah actually works with a lot of schools, doing the emotions toolkit. So it'd be great.
We need to chat, Deborah, because I love working with schools, and I think schools are amazing. Yeah.
So it'd be possibly really great for you to both connect, really, and you're both in the collective as well. So yeah. But yeah, I do feel like it'd be really great for you to connect, because, and you're right, what you're doing is, and this is not, for me, for anyone to feel guilty or anything like that. You're just modeling something for our, for our children then to take on. Let's spend 20 minutes. I mean, like, as I said to you, I spend Sunday off my phone. The kids are literally off their phones, off their internet. On Sunday, we have a no internet day on a Sunday, and it's just a case of getting into that, because obviously it takes a habit, and it takes forming a habit. So tell us what you feel about creating habits.
Yeah, so I do have some books to show you as well, actually, because I think it's so important what you said about switching off. That's one good habit that we can create for ourselves and for our children. So reading is another habit that I like to read. So I like to try to find the time to read. But for my kids as well, it is a habit for them now. But I had to really work hard as a parent to make sure that it's a habit for them. So it's like you say, we model the behavior. And actually, a nice thing that I noticed is when I sit down with a book, I open a book, and I'll just exaggerate a little bit how interesting it is. So I'll go, oh, This is nice. Oh, and naturally they will just come and sit next to me, and they will read that book with me. You know, it's about making it attractive and making it making them want it.
I love
So
that.
you have to model the behavior. But one example of books which I really, really love is our mental health range for children. So this is the Unhurry book. And we have the Unworry book and Unhurry. And I think especially now after lockdown, you know, when the kids went back to school, there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of kids having to get used to the new routines because they have been at home for such a long time. So I use those books with my children, Unhurry and Unworry, just for little mindfulness exercises, you know. So just to take a step back, take a big breath, and, you know, notice what is around you. There's some really, really lovely exercises. As for example, the page that I turned to is haikus. So writing some simple poems, so you can get a little bit creative with your kids, writing some simple poems that have 3 lines, and there's a pattern to how they look. So that's definitely looking after our mental health. I think is a habit that we all need to develop. So there's a lot on mental health in general now, which I think is great. So we had the Mental Health Awareness Week this month, and I think it just raises this very important issue that we all have a responsibility for our own mental health. And the more that we do for ourselves as parents, the more we teach our children about it. But also, you know, we can start introducing those subjects for children at a very young age. I love that they do things on mental health at school. I think it's really important because, to be honest, sometimes knowing how to relax and how your brain works and how your emotions work, I think that's more important maybe than, you know, adjectives or, you know, how to you know what I mean, or some complicated grammar stuff. I'm not saying it's not important. It is important. But in terms of life skills, our children need to learn how to deal with their emotions. And if they spend their time on tablets, it's probably a lot. It's probably going to be more difficult for them to control those emotions.
Absolutely, and I'm with you on this. And Deborah said as well, she's illustrating a book while listening at this moment in time. Is it the book we were talking about, Deborah? Because Deborah has got some massive things happening for her in the world of children's books in particular. And I mean, like, huge stuff.
That's
like
amazing. We really need to chat, Deborah. That's lovely.
It's massive, and she's agreeing with you as well on the children's emotions and things, and that is a really important part. And, you know, again, you know, linking back to what you said before, it's important that, you know, we take responsibility for our own mental health by taking responsibility. And this is not to feel guilty in any way, because it's the guilt and shame that keep us where we are. It's to know that it's okay to not feel okay sometimes, and it's okay that, you know, that things don't go our way, and to learn to deal with the emotions that come through for each and every one of us. Because as we learn to handle our own emotions, our children then go, oh, okay, I can see that she's handling her, she's not raising her voice to me, and she's crying because she's frustrated, you know. And then they learn that they don't have to always get, you know, really, I mean, the thing is, you know, it's okay to have the anger. It's okay to have those things. They are natural emotions for everyone to have. And then just to learn how to manage them the way that they want to. And you're so right. And this does, and I really want to say that this does link into not just personal growth, this also links into business growth too. And the reason why it links into business growth, because handling your emotions is very important when we are doing videos, when we are doing posts, when we're doing a lot of things in our work, and knowing how to deal with our own emotions, our own energy, and how we feel, and taking that time out, taking that time out with our kids, it's almost like that. It's almost like a little bit of healing, really. You're like sitting down with them, you can see that they're relaxed, you're relaxed, and it relaxes you when you go into your work, when you go into your life, when you go into, into any kind of business situations. Knowing how to relax yourself is massive towards business growth.
Absolutely. And I'm sure a lot of women in our group will resonate with this, because I think the reason why we started businesses in the first place is to spend more time with our kids most of the time. Like that was the thing for me. I wanted to be, the mom that takes her kids to school, that picks the children up from school, that I wanted to be the mom that is there more, because I was working in an office before, and my children were in holiday clubs, breakfast clubs, after school clubs all the time, and I just wanted to spend more time with them. So that's why I wanted a flexible business, because I wanted to work in the hours that I know I can. And so now I'm working from home, and I can do that. I can take my kids to school. I can be there. So next week we have half term, so I'm taking a few days off, and that's fine. And nothing's gonna, everything's gonna be all right. So that flexibility and being there for our kids, I think, as mums is very important for us.
Absolutely. And even if you're in that situation at this moment in time where your kids are in the after school clubs, that's okay. And you may want to make a plan to move into flexible working, because I'm sure that's what you did in the beginning, is make a plan then to move into more flexible.
What I did was more of a jump rather than
did
plan.
Did you jump like me?
Yeah, I just jumped. It was just the right thing for me, and I knew it was right for me, so I just said yes, and I just jumped. So yeah. But yes, you're right. A plan sometimes is very helpful, and to have some kind of backup as well, and make sure that financially you are okay with what you're doing. So all those things are very, very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I jumped with no finances, but that's but 10 years later, it's the best thing that I ever did.
Yeah, but we're all so different, aren't we?
I know, and that's the beauty. That's the beauty, isn't it? Isn't that the beauty of having these conversations? Look how different we are as people. Look how this is what needs to be celebrated. A lot of people talk about being one, we're all one, and I'm like, we're different. Let's celebrate just being different for a change. Absolutely. We've had being one for the last hundreds of thousands of years, and it only creates a lot of wars and a lot of fighting. So let's just be different and be individual and celebrate, because that's how we do come together, when we celebrate each other and our
there was something that I saw on Deborah's profile, and I just wanted to say about that: art and being creative. And for our kids, I think that is something that at school is not always embraced so much. But like, my kids are very creative. They love to make stuff. And I think as adults, we sometimes just forget about our creative side. So what I love to do is, like, if we have a book like that, or a magic painting book, or something that the kids are doing, I like to join in with them as well. I like to, get my hands dirty and get the paints out. And yes, it's messy, and yes, it's it's a pain, but just putting the lines on the paper and just being creative with the kids, that's one of the most beautiful things I think that you can do. Not just as a mom, but it's like being that kid again. It's like going back to being a child again. but actually we don't need to be children to be creative. You know, we all are creative in our own rights. We all have different, as you say, different skills, different strengths. So yeah, let's celebrate that. Let's get
I
creative.
love that. I love that. And Deborah was just saying they do too, and it's so mindful.
Yeah.
And I just, I just think it's so, so beautiful doing those, doing those things. I mean, like, me, Izabela, like getting out into nature is like one of the biggest things, and writing as well. So my kids have journals and they will write. And my little one, obviously his writing is like, obviously it's just big or little or any way it wants to be. And he's obviously still learning his letters and things and learning to read. And, even like last night, he got out of bed and he was laid next to me and we were just reading one of his books, and he goes to choose, the book that he wants to read for the night. And I think that is so, so key and so beautiful. One of the things, I don't know about you, is that I actually turn off my phone when I'm having those moments with them as well. And that is part of my own growth. It's part of my business growth, it's part of my personal growth. A lot of people don't I think, a lot of people don't realize that is our business growth. A lot of people go
switching off.
Yeah, a lot of people go, have the structure, have work until you drop, etc. If you're not making the money, then you need to keep going until you do make the money, that type of thing. And it's like, no, the actual business growth comes through the time, the space, and the energy that you get, not only just with yourself, but with children. And reading is definitely one of them.
Yeah, and what you said about your children writing, I think that's beautiful, because they are expressing themselves and they are learning to, express their own thoughts and feelings. And I remember as a child, I used to have a journal, but then I just, I forgot about it. And it was only 2 or 3 years ago that I started journaling again. And it's so helpful for my own sanity. And it does help me to, just offload things from my mind. But also it does bring those little light bulb moments when you put things down on paper and when you write them down and when you read it back again. You do realize sometimes how much you are stuck in your ways of thinking. So it does help to just express those feelings. And art and writing and being creative, it does allow us to express our true self. It's a big word, but it's what art does to us. So yeah, I think it's magical, truly magical.
It is magical, and it's just one of those wonderful things. What would you suggest? Because I know that for my own business growth, I actually, and as an adult, I actually read not what is considered normal books. So as much as I look, as much as I read, a lot about psychology, because obviously I've had to, a lot about emotional intelligence because I've had to, and then a lot about, business and how businesses are run, etc. But the one thing that really helps me with my mind and with my business is just reading a normal book.
A fiction book.
Yeah, just getting lost in the pages.
Yeah.
And what books do you like? What books are you interested in? What helps you with your work?
So I read a lot of books, and some are in Polish and some are in English, because I work with Polish books as well. But the latest books that I read a lot on parenting, actually. So how to, I have this thing about, and it's not about being a perfect parent, but it's about being a good enough parent. And that to me means just being kind to yourself, being forgiving yourself, and modeling the kind of behavior that you want to see in your children, but also giving them the freedom, like treating them as individuals and giving them the choices that they need to make. So giving them the voice. So it's about being like a gentle parent. But I do read a lot of fiction, and I do enjoy, I enjoy funny stories. So I read this series by Holly Bourne, and her books are just really funny and really wise as well. So it's about girls growing up and having friendships and different experiences that you have at that time. And it's called, one of her books is called Am I Normal Yet? And it does talk about some mental health issues. There's a girl with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. And she's trying to hide it from her friends because she thinks that her friends will not accept her knowing about her condition. Yeah. And it's really beautiful because, it then turns out that actually her friends are the ones who will help her to deal with this massive change in her life. And friends are there to be our support network. Yeah, so that's a really nice book. Am I Normal Yet?
I love that. And I completely agree. Looking at those type of books do take you away. Yeah. They kind of allow you, while you're thinking about, your business, while you're thinking about, your kids, while you're thinking about everything that's going on in your life, that you spend time, with your head in a book for yourself, and you kind of just get whisked away. I love the ones that are set in villages because I live in a village. So I love the ones that are set in UK villages, because I kind of feel, okay, it's a little bit true to life, but it's not. But it's just, I just like stuff like that, the ones that are set in the UK, and you can kind of just literally imagine and open up that, because you're on about creativity, and art and stuff, and it's almost like opening up that side of the brain. I feel like reading those books open up that side of the brain, whereas reading, anything that's more, non-fiction, then it kind of keeps opening up the opposite side of the brain. So then you've got the more logical, analytical thinking, whereas on the opposite side you've got that beautiful creative, and it just opens it up. And I just feel like you kind of get a lot from that.
Well, books have the power to transport us into different places, different times. You can really time travel by reading a good book, and you can just meet other people that normally you wouldn't be able to meet. So they do have the power to transport us into those places. Yes, so absolutely.
I love it.
I'm going to have to wrap up, Trina, because we are on a timeline today.
Yes, we are on a timeline today. I'm just going to have a look at Deborah's comments, and we are wrapping up. I love to learn about other communities. I read a graphic novel based in Iran, and it was amazing. And those, those the things is to, anything that we can learn today. Just three quick things before you go. That you would like to tell people?
Read more books. Look after yourself, because you are the most important person in your business, and take time out.
Love it. Thank you so much, Izabela, and thank you for being my final interview in this group as we close down this group later today. Thank you.
It's been a real pleasure, and I really do thank you for the opportunity. There's a fly flying around me, but yes, thank you so much. It has been a true honor, so thank you.
And thank you to everyone who's watched today. So thank you very much. Speak soon. Bye.